Meeting at Kucheng, Lord and Liege fortify each other. Sun Xiaqin had joined Kuan Yu in escorting the two ladies, and they were on the road to Junan when TsʻAi Tun suddenly determined to pursue. So with a couple of hundred horse he set out. When he was seen approaching, Kuan Yu bade Sun Xiaqin go ahead with the carriage while he remained to deal with the pursuers. When they were near enough, Kuan Yu said, "In coming after me thus you do not reinforce the magnanimity of your master." Replied TsʻAi Tun, "The minister has sent no definite instructions. You have caused the death of several people, among them one of my lieutenants, and so I have come to capture you. You have behaved most grossly. He will decide." Thereupon he dashed forward with his spear ready to thrust. But at that moment a rider came up behind him at full gallop crying, "You must not fight with Yun Xiaqin." Kuan Yu stayed his steed at once and waited. The messenger came up, drew from his bosom an official letter, and said to TsʻAi Tun, "The minister loves General Quan for his loyalty and honor, and fearing lest he might be stopped at the various passes, he sent me with this letter to show when necessary at any point on the road. But this Quan has slain several commanders of the passes. Does the minister know that?" Said Tun. The messenger said these things were unknown. "Then," said Tun, "I will arrest him and take him to the minister, who may set him free or not as he wills." "Do you think I fear anything you can do?" said Kuan Yu, getting wrathful. And he rode forward. Tun, nothing loth, set his spear and prepared for battle. They met and had reached the 10th encounter when a second horseman came up at full speed, crying, "Generals, wait a little." TsʻAi Tun stayed his hand and asked the messenger, saying, "Am I to arrest him?" "No," replied the messenger. "Fearing lest he should have difficulties at the passes, the minister has sent me with a dispatch to say he is to be released." Did the minister know that he had slain several men on the way? He did not know. "Since he was ignorant of that, I may not let him go." And he gave the signal to his men to close in round Kuan Yu. But Kuan Yu flourished his sword and made to attack them, and a fight was again imminent, when a third rider appeared, who cried, "Yun Xiaqin, give way and do not fight." The speaker was Chang Liu. Both combatants made no further move but awaited his arrival. He said, "I bring the minister's order that since he has heard that Yun Xiaqin has slain certain men, on the way he fears that some will hinder his passage. Wherefore he has sent me to deliver his command at each gate that Kuan Yu is to be suffered to pass freely." TsʻAi Tun said, "Xiaqin was the son of TsʻAi Yang's sister, and he was confided to my especial care. Now this Quan has killed him, and how can I refrain? When I see his uncle I will explain. But now the main point is that you have the minister's orders to let Kuan Yu pass, and you may not despise his wish." So the only thing for TsʻAi Tun to do was to retire, and he did. "Whither are you going?" Then said Chang Liu to Kuan Yu, "I fear my brother is no longer with Yuan Shao, and now I am going to find him wherever he is. As you do not know where to go, why not return to the minister?" "Where is the sense of that?" said Kuan Yu with a smile. "But where Yuan you return and try to arrange pardon for my faults." With this he saluted Chang Liu and took his leave. Chang Liu retired and joined TsʻAi Tun. Kuan Yu quickly regained the carriage, and as they went along side by side, he told Sun Xiaqin what had happened. Several days later, a heavy rainstorm came on which soaked everything. Looking about for protection, they noticed a farm under the shelter of a precipice and took their way thither. An old man came out to them, to whom they told their story. When they had finished, the old fellow said, "My name is Quo Xiaqin, and I have lived here many years. I am very pleased to greet the man whom I have known so long by reputation." He quickly killed a sheep for their refreshment and brought out wine for the two men. The two ladies were entertained in the inner apartments, and while they refreshed themselves, Their baggage was put out to dry and their steeds were fed. As the day closed in, they saw several youths come along, and their host said, "My son is come to pay his respects." "This is my stupid son," said he, presenting a lad to Kuan Yu. "What has he been doing?" asked Kuan. "He has just come in from hunting." The young fellow went out. The old man continued, "All my family have been farmers or scholars. He is my only son, and instead of following in the footsteps of his ancestors, he cares for nothing but gadding about and hunting, unhappily." "Why unhappily?" said Kuan Yu. "In these days of disorder, a good soldier can make a name for himself. If he would only learn the military arts, that would be something of a career, but he is nothing but a vagabond and does everything he should not. He is a grief to me." Kuan Yu sighed in sympathy. The old gentleman stayed till a late hour, and when he took his leave, his two guests began to prepare for rest. Suddenly outside there arose a great hubbub, men shouting and horses neighing. Kuan Yu called to his people, but as no one answered, he and his companion drew their swords and went into the stable yard. There they found their host's son on the ground shouting to his followers to fight. Kuan Yu asked what it was all about, and his men told him that the young fellow had tried to steal red hair, but had been badly kicked. They had heard shouting and had gone to see what it meant when the farm people had set on them. Kuan Yu was very wrathful. "You mean thieves, would you steal my horse?" cried he. But before he could do anything, his host came running out saying, "It was not with my consent that my son did this evil thing. I know he is very guilty and deserves death, but his mother loves him tenderly, and I pray you to be generous and pardon him." "Really he is unworthy of his father," said Kuan Yu. "What you told me shows he is a degenerate. For your sake I pardon him." Then he told his own people to keep a better lookout, sent the farm people about their business, and, in company with son TsʻAi, went away to rest. Next morning both host and hostess were up betimes waiting to thank him for forgiving their son's mad freak. "My currish son has insulted your tiger dignity, I know, and I am deeply affected by your kindness in not punishing him," said the old man. "Bring him here and I will talk to him," said Kuan Yu. "He went out before daylight with a lot of his fellow rogues, and I know not where he is." So Kuan Yu bade them farewell, got the ladies into their carriage, and they moved out of the farmyard, the two warriors riding abreast as escort. They took the road toward the hills. Before they had gone far, they saw a large party of men, led by a couple of riders, pouring down one of the gullies. One of the riders wore a yellow turban and a battle robe. The other was TsʻAi's son. The wearer of the turban called out saying, "I am one of the captains of the Celestial Duke, Chang Shio. Whoever you may be, leave that horse you are riding for me. You may then go free." Kuan Yu greeted the speech with a hearty laugh. "Oh, you mad ignoramus! If you had ever been with Chang Shio as a bandit, you would have learned to know Liu, Quan, and Chang, the three brothers. I have heard of the ruddy long beard called Quan, but I have never seen him. Who may you be?" Kuan Yu then laid aside his sword, stopped his horse, and drew off the bag that covered his beard, thus showing its magnificence. The turban wearer immediately slipped out of the saddle, laid an angry hand on his companion, and they both bowed low in front of Kuan Yu's steed. "Who are you?" asked Kuan Yu. "I am Yuan Shao. After the death of Chang Shio, I was left forlorn, and I got together a few others like myself, and we took refuge in the forests. This morning early, this fellow came to tell us that a guest at his father's farm had a valuable horse and proposed to me to steal it. I did not think I should meet you, General." The wretched youth Kuo implored that his life might be spared, and Kuan Yu pardoned him for his father's sake. He covered his face and crept away. "You did not recognize me. How then did you know my name?" asked Kuan Yu. Pa replied, "Not far from here is a mountain called the Sleeping Bull, where lives a certain TsʻAi, a very powerful man who came from the west. He has a stiff, curly beard and looks very handsome. He also was a captain in the rebel army who took to the forest when his leader perished. He has told me a lot about you, but I have never had the happiness of seeing you. Said Kuan Yu, under the greenwood tree is no place for a hero's foot. You had better abandon this depraved life and return to the path of virtue. Do not work out your own destruction. As they were talking, a troop of horsemen appeared in the distance. They were the men of TsʻAi, as Pa said, and Kuan Yu waited for them to approach. The leader was very dark-complexioned, tall and armed with a spear. As soon as he drew near enough to see, he exclaimed joyfully, "This is General Quan." In a moment he had slipped out of the saddle and was on his knees by the roadside. "TsʻAi renders obeisance," said he. Said Kuan Yu, "O warrior, where have you known me? I was one of the yellow turbans and I saw you then. My one regret was that I could not join you. Now that my good fortune has brought me here, I hope you will not reject me. Let me be one of your foot soldiers to be always near you to carry your whip and run by your stirrup. I will cheerfully die for you." As he seemed thoroughly in earnest, Kuan Yu said, "But if you follow me, what of your companions? They may do as they please, follow me or go their ways." Thereupon they all shouted, "We will follow." Kuan Yu dismounted and went to ask the ladies what they thought of this. The lady Kan replied, "Brother-in-law, you have traveled thus far alone and without fighting men. You have safely passed many dangers and never wanted their assistance. You refused the service of Luo Hua. Why then suffer this crowd? But this is only a woman's view and you must decide. What you say, sister-in-law, is to the point." Therefore, returning to TsʻAi, he said, "It is not that I am lacking in gratitude, but my sisters-in-law do not care for a large following. Wherefore return to the mountains till I shall have found my brother, when I will surely call you." TsʻAi replied, "I am only a rough, uncouth fellow, wasting his life as a brigand. Meeting you, General, is like seeing the full sun in the skies, and I feel that I can never bear to miss you again. As it might be inconvenient for all my men to follow you, I will bid my companion lead them away, but I will come and follow you on foot wherever you go." Kuan Yu again asked his sisters-in-law what they thought of this. Lady Kan said one or two made no difference, and so Kuan Yu consented. But Pa Yuanshao was not satisfied with this arrangement and said he wished also to follow. Chu said, "If you do not stay with the band, they will disperse and be lost. You must take command for the moment and let me accompany General Quan. As soon as he has a fixed abode, I will come to fetch you." Somewhat discontentedly, Pa Yuanshao accepted the situation and marched off, while his one-time colleague joined the train of Kuan Yu, and they went toward Junin. They traveled quickly for some days, and then they saw a city on a hill. From the natives, they heard that the city was called Kuqiang, and that a few months before a warrior had suddenly appeared, driven out the magistrates and taken possession. Then he had begun to recruit men, buy up horses and lay in stores. The warrior's name was Chang Fei. Now he had a large force and no one in the neighborhood dared face him. "To think that I should find my brother like this," said Kuan Yu, delighted. "I have had never a word of him, nor knew I where he was since Suchu fell." So he dispatched Sun Ciachin into the city, to tell its new commander to come out to meet him, and provide for their sisters-in-law. Now, after being separated from his brothers, Chang Fei had gone to the Manjiang Hills, where he had remained a month or so while he sent far and near for tidings of Yuan Ter. Then, as he happened to pass Kuqiang, he had sent in to borrow some grain, but had been refused. In revenge, he had driven away the magistrate and taken possession of the city. He found the place well suited to his needs at the moment. As directed by Kuan Yu, Sun Ciachin entered the city and, after the usual ceremonies, told Chang Fei the news of both his brothers. that Yuan Ter had left Yuan Shao and gone to Junin, and that Kuan Yu, with their sisters-in-law, was at his gates. Chang Fei listened without a word till he came to the request to go out to meet him. At that point he called for his armor, and when he had put it on, laid hold of his long spear, mounted and rode out with a large company at his back. Sun TsʻAi was too astonished to ask what this meant, and simply followed. Kuan Yu was very glad when he saw his brother coming, put up his weapons, and, with Chu TsʻAi at his back, rode toward him at full speed. But as he approached, he saw all the signs of fierce anger on his brother's face, and he roared as he shook his spear, threatening his brother. Kuan Yu was entirely taken aback and called out anxiously, "Brother, what does this mean? Is the Peach Garden pledge quite forgotten? What impudence is this, that you come to see me since your disgraceful behavior?" shouted Chang. "What disgraceful behavior has been mine?" said Kuan Yu. "You have betrayed your brother, you have surrendered to TsʻAi, and you have received title and office at his hands. And now you are come to exploit me. One of us shall die." Kuan said, "Really you do not understand, and it is hard for me to explain. But ask the two ladies here, worthy brother, and they will tell you." At this the ladies lifted the curtain of the carriage and called out, "Brother, why is this?" Fei said, "Wait a while, sisters, and see me slay this traitor. After that I will conduct you into the city." Said the lady Can, "Since he knew not where you were, our brother took shelter with TsʻAi. And since he knew that his elder brother was at Junin, he has braved every danger to escort us thus far on the road. Pray take a correct view of his conduct." The lady Mai also chimed in, "When your brother went to Sudu, no other course was open to him. Sisters, do not let him blind you to the truth. Real loyalty prefers death to dishonor. No good man can serve two masters." Kuan Yu said, "Brother, cease to wrong me, I pray you." Sun TsʻAi said, "Yun Chang came expressly to seek you." "How much more nonsense will you talk?" roared Chang Fei. "How can he be true-hearted? He came to capture me, I say." "Had I come to capture you, I should have come with men and horses," said Kuan Yu. "And are there not men and horses?" said Chang Fei, pointing to a point behind Kuan Yu. Kuan Yu turned, and there he saw a cloud of dust rising as though a squadron of horse was coming. And soon they were near enough, and from their trumpets and banners, they showed themselves to be of TsʻAi's army. "Now will you try to cajole me further?" cried Chang Fei in a rage. He set his long spear and was just coming on when Kuan Yu said, "Brother, wait a while. See me slay the leader of these, that I may prove myself no traitor." "Well, if you are really true, prove it by slaying that leader, whoever he may be, before I have finished 3 rolls of the drum." Chang Fei's condition was accepted. Soon the attacking force was near enough to make out the leader to be TsʻAi. Sword in hand he rode at full speed, crying, "So I have found you, slayer of my nephew. I have a command to capture you and will execute it." Kuan Yu made no reply. Raising his sword ready to strike, he moved out and the drums began to beat. Before a roll could be completed, the fight was over and TsʻAi's head had rolled on the ground. His men scattered and fled. Kuan Yu, however, captured the young ensign-bearer and questioned him. The youth said that in very truth the minister had not given an order. Incensed at the loss of his nephew, TsʻAi wished to pursue and attack Kuan Yu, although the minister refused permission. To satisfy him, he had sent TsʻAi to attack Junin, and the meeting at this place was entirely an accident. Kuan Yu bade him repeat this story to his brother. Chang Fei also questioned him concerning all that had happened in the capital, and the recital of the whole story satisfied him of the fidelity of Kuan Yu. Just then messengers came from the city to Chang Fei to say that some scores of horsemen had arrived at the south gate. They seemed in a great hurry, but no one knew them. Chang Fei, with still a lingering doubt in his mind, went to look at the newcomers, and there saw a score or two of mounted archers with light bows and short arrows. Hastily dismounting to see them better, he found they were Mai Chu and Mai Fang. Quickly slipping out of the saddle, they came up, and Mai Chu said, "After the dispersal at Suchu, when we lost sight of you, we returned to our village, whence we sent all around for news of you. We heard that Kuan Yu had surrendered to TsʻAi, and our lord was in Hopai. The one of whom we could hear nothing was yourself. But yesterday, while on our way, we fell in with some travelers who told us a certain General Chang, of such and such an appearance, had suddenly occupied Kuchang, and we felt it must be you. So we came to inquire, and we happily fell in with you here." Fei replied, "Kuan Yu and son TsʻAi are here, and my 2 sisters are with them. They had heard where my elder brother was." This news added to the joy of the 2 newcomers, who went to see Kuan Yu and the women, and then they all entered the city. When the ladies had settled down a little, they related the whole story of the adventures on the road, at which Chang Fei was overcome with remorse and bowed before his brother, bitterly weeping. The brothers Mai were greatly affected. Then Chang Fei related what had happened to him. A day was spent in banquets, and next day Chang Fei wished his newly found brother to go with him to Junan to see their elder brother Yuan Ter. But Kuan Yu said, "No, you take care of the ladies here while son TsʻAi and I go to get news." So Kuan Yu and son TsʻAi with a small escort set out. When they reached Junan, they were received by Liu Pi, who told them their brother was no longer in the city. After waiting some days, he had come to the conclusion that the soldiers were too few and had gone back to Yuan Shao to consult with him. Kuan Yu was greatly disappointed, and his companion did his best to console him. "Do not be sorrowful. It only means the trouble of another journey into Hopai to tell Uncle Liu, and then we can all meet at Kuchang." So spoke son TsʻAi, and Kuan Yu accepted it. They took leave of Liu Pi and returned to Kuchang, where they related what had happened. Chang Fei wanted to go with them into Hopai, but Kuan Yu opposed this, saying, "Seeing you have this city, it makes a rallying point for us and a resting place. We must not abandon it lightly. We too will go, and while away we look to you to keep the city safe. How can you go after killing the 2 generals, Yen Liang and Wen Chu? That will not stop me, and after I am there, I can act according to circumstances." Then he summoned Chu TsʻAi and asked him, saying, "How many men are there with Pa at Sleeping Bull Mountain?" "I should think 400 or 500. "Now," said Kuan Yu, "I am going to take the shortest road to find my brother. Can you go to summon your men and lead them along the high road to assist me?" With instructions to bring up these men, Chu TsʻAi left, while Kuan Yu and son TsʻAi and their small escort went off to the north. When they drew near the boundary, son TsʻAi said, "You must be careful how you go over. You ought to stop here while I go in, see Uncle Liu, and take the necessary steps." Seeing the wisdom of this, Kuan Yu stopped there and sent his companion in advance, he and his followers going up to a nearby farm as an abiding place. When they got to the farm, out came a venerable man leaning on a staff. After exchanging salutes, Kuan Yu told the old man all about himself. "My name is also Kuan, my personal name being Ting," said the old man. "I know your reputation, and I am very happy to meet you." He sent for his 2 sons to come and make their bow. He put up Kuan in his house and provided for his escort in the farm buildings. In the meantime, son TsʻAi had made his way to Chichao and seen Yuan Ter, who said, "Qin Young also is here. We will send for him secretly to talk over this matter." They did so, and when the usual salutes had been exchanged, they 3 began to consider the means of getting away. "You see Yuan Shao personally," said Young, "and say you wish to go to Qingchu to see Liu Pio about a scheme for the destruction of our enemy. That will give an excuse." That seems best, said Liu Pei, but will you go with me? I have another plan to extricate myself, said Young. Having settled their plans, Yuan-Ter soon went in to see his protector and suggested that, as Liu Pio was strong and well posted, his help should be sought against their enemy. I have sent messengers repeatedly to ask his help, said Xiao, but he is unwilling. As he and I are of the same family, he will not refuse me if I go and ask him, said Liu Pei. Certainly he is worth much more than Liu Pi. You shall go. I have just heard, Xiao continued, that Quan Yun Xiang has left TsʻAi and wants to come here. If he does, I will put him to death out of revenge for my 2 officers. Illustrious sir, you wish to employ him, and so I sent for him. Now you threaten to put him to death. The 2 men he slew were but deer compared with such a tiger as he is. When you exchange a couple of deer for a tiger, you need not complain of the bargain. Really, I like him, said Xiao. I was only joking. You can send another messenger for him and tell him to come soon. May I send Sun Xiaqin for him? Certainly. After Yuan-Ter had gone, Qin Yang came in and said to Xiao, if Yuan-Ter goes, he will not come back. I had better go to speak to Liu Pio, and I can keep a watch on Liu Pei. Yuan Xiao agreed and issued orders for both to go. On the subject of the mission, Quotu came in to his chief to dissuade him. Said he, he went to speak to Liu Pi, but he accomplished nothing. Now you are sending Qin Yang with him, and I am sure neither will ever return. Do not be too suspicious, said Xiao. Qin Yang is clever enough. That was the end of the interview. Forthwith Yuan-Ter sent Sun Xiaqin back to Quan Yu and then, with Qin Yang, took leave of Yuan Xiao and rode out of the city. As soon as they reached the border line, they met Sun Xiaqin, and all 3 rode off to Quan Ting's farm to meet Quan Yu. He came out to welcome them, bowed, and then seized his brother's hands while tears streamed down his face. Presently the 2 sons of their host came to bow to the visitors. Liu Pei asked their names. These are of the same name as myself, said Quan Yu. The sons are Quan Ning, who is a student, and Quan Ping, who is to be a soldier. I have been thinking of sending the younger in your train, General, said old Quan. Would you take him? What is his age? Said Liu Pei. He is 18. Liu Pei said, since, O senior, you are so kind, I venture to suggest that your son should be adopted by my brother, who has no son of his own. What think you of that? Quan Ting was perfectly willing, so he called his younger son and bade him make a son's obeisance to Quan Yu, and to style Yuan-Ter uncle. Then it was time to get on their way lest they should be pursued, and with them went Quan Ping in the train of his father. The lad's real father escorted them a short distance and then left. They took the road to Sleeping Bull Hill. Before they had gone very far, they met Chu TsʻAi with a small party. He was wounded. He was introduced to Yuan-Ter, who asked him how it was. He replied, before I reached the hill, a certain warrior, all alone, had fought with my friend Pa and killed him. Then many of our men surrendered to him, and he occupied our old camp. When I reached it, I tried to allure the soldiers back to my side, but only succeeded with a few. The others were too afraid. I got angry and engaged the interloper, who however worsted me time after time and wounded me thrice. Who is the warrior? What does he look like? Asked Yuan-Ter. All I know, he is a doughty fighter. I do not know his name. Thereafter they advanced toward the hill with Quan Yu in front and Yuan-Ter in rear. When they drew near, Chu TsʻAi began to abuse his enemy, who soon appeared, mailed and armed, coming down the hills. Suddenly Yuan-Ter rode out waving his whip and shouting, You, O comer, are surely Tzu Lung. The rider, for it was Ko Tzu Lung, Ko Yun, instantly slipped out of the saddle and bowed by the roadside. The brothers dismounted to talk with him and ask how he came to be there. When I left you, I had no idea that Kungsun San was a man who would listen to no reason. The result was disaster, and he perished in the flames. Yuan Shao invited me to him several times, but I thought too little of him to go. Then I wanted to go to Hsuchu to you, but you had lost that place, and Yun Xiechang had gone over to TsʻAi, and you had joined Yuan Shao. Several times I thought of coming to you, but I feared Yuan Shao. So I drifted from one place to another with nowhere to rest, till I happened to come this way, and Pa Yuan Shao tried to steal my horse. So I slew him and took possession of his camp. I heard Iter was in Kuchang, but thought it might be only a rumor. And so the days have passed till this happy meeting. Yuan Ter told him all that had happened to him since they parted, and so did Kuan Yu. Said Liu Pa, "The first time I saw you I felt drawn to you and did not want to part from you. I am very happy to meet you again. In all my wanderings trying to find a lord worth serving, I have seen no one like you. Now I have reached your side, that is enough for all my life. I care not what may happen to me." Next they burned the camp, after which they all took the road back to Kuchang, where they were welcomed. They exchanged the stories of their several adventures, and the two ladies related the valiant deeds of Kuan Yu, whereat Yuan Ter was too affected to speak. Then they performed a great sacrifice to heaven and earth, with the slaughter of a bull and a horse. The soldiers also were recompensed for their toils. Yuan Ter surveyed the conditions around him and found therein much to rejoice at. His two brothers were restored to his side, and none of his helpers were missing. Moreover, he had gained Ko Yun, and his brother Kuan Yu had acquired an adopted son Piying. Another captain had joined his ranks in the person of Chu Ts'Ai. There was every occasion for feasting and gratification. Scattered wide were the brothers. None knew another's retreat. Joyfully now they foregather, dragon and tiger meet. At this time, the forces under the command of the three brothers and their adherents numbered 4,000 or 5,000 men. Yuan Ter was in favor of leaving Kuchang and occupying Junin, and just then Liu Pa and Kung Tu, commanders of that city, sent to invite him to go there. So they went. There they devoted all their efforts to strengthen their army, both horse and foot, but nothing will be said of the recruiting, purchase of horses, and such matters. However, it must be noted that Yuan Shao was much annoyed when Yuan Ter did not return, and at first was for sending a force after him. However, Quo Tu dissuaded him. Liu Pa need cause you no anxiety. TsʻAi is your one enemy and must be destroyed. Even Liu Pao, though strongly posted on the river, is none too terrible. There is Sun Po Fu on the east of the river, strong, feared, with wide territory, a large army and able counselors and leaders. You should make an alliance there against TsʻAi. He won his chief to his view and wrote to Sun, sending the letter by Chern. Just as one warrior leaves the north, another from the east comes forth. Future chapters will reveal the outcome of these dispositions.